Hey you guys, I'm Lindsay Ell and I am so excited to be joining the CMA Foundation's Unified Voices for Music Education initiative. I joined the foundation in their belief that every single student deserves access to high quality music education. I know my education would not have been the same without it. I think that music education was the thing that made me fall in love with music at such an early age and made me want to turn it into a career. So all that to be said, I am so excited to be here today and I want to give you a quick little how-to video on how to change the strings on your guitar as well as how to tune your guitar. Now, since it's kind of a repetitive process, I won't bore you with doing every single string, but I'm going to teach you in depth how to change one string and then you can repeat the process from here. So I have an acoustic guitar. It's essentially the same thing on an electric guitar, except what happens here in the bridge, but I'll go over those little differences if you have an electric guitar. So really you will need a package of strings, and then this is not necessary, but it's really, really handy. These are called string winders. They come in all shapes and sizes, but they're really handy because they help you wind the head, and then they also cut the strings. So you don't need it, but they're very, very helpful. So we're going to change the low E string. This is the big fat one on the guitar. And so essentially what you just do to start is you put your little string winder onto the tuning head, and then you start winding. Depending on what side of the acoustic guitar you're on will determine which way you wind, but it's always a good thing to test by you play the string and then you can hear if that goes up, that means you're winding the wrong way. So if you play the string and you hear that goes down, then that means you're winding the right way. So this is winding clockwise when you're on the top of an acoustic guitar. But as long as you hear the note going down, you're going the right way. So once it gets pretty loose, you've probably wound it enough. You can unwrap the string on this end, and then you are going to go to the bridge. Now on an acoustic guitar, it has these things called tuning pegs. And also on your string winder, a very handy thing is they have like little contraptions on the end so that you can fit around this tuning peg and kind of just edge it out. Sometimes you can take them out with your hands, but sometimes if you haven't changed your strings in a while, they're in there pretty good. So just wiggle it. You can use this guy to get it out. You can pull on the string a little bit to get it out, but then you'll take out your old string and the tuning peg. Now make sure you put the tuning peg in a very, very careful place because you're gonna need this guy in a minute. And then your old string, I normally just wind it like this, just so it won't poke holes in the garbage or trash or poke anybody's eye, because that would be a terrible thing. I also quickly just want to touch on an electric guitar since I have one here. The only difference, actually, I need to change the string on an electric guitar. The only difference for a bridge on an electric guitar, for instance, on this guitar, this is a Stratocaster, you, instead of taking out a tuning peg, you would feed the string through the back of the guitar. So basically you do the same process. You unwind, you take the string off, you would feed the string out through the back of the guitar, and the string needs to be changed anyway, so I just pull the string out. And then when you're stringing it, you just string the string in from the back of the electric guitar, and then you'll bring it out through the hole, and then you'll repeat the same process that we're gonna do on the acoustic. So that's the main difference for the electric. I'm gonna wind this guy up quickly. Now, once you have your new string, you normally can follow, there's a little legend on the back package of your strings that gives you detail on what string goes to what position, just in case you're not sure what number. The strings I'm putting on this acoustic are 12s, I call them. They're 12s to 52s in terms of gauges. So I need to listen to my own advice. Where did I put? Okay, tuning peg right here. And then you take your brand new string, you sort of take it, unwind it from the circle. And I always like to just ever so slightly bend it. because this is going to sit on your bridge. This is your bridge of your guitar, and it just sort of helps the string kind of get into place. So I just bend the end like this, and then on your tuning peg, you'll see a groove. So the string is going to fit in that groove. And then there's always like a little round circle at the bottom of your string. That's gonna kind of sit at the bottom of the tuning peg and will be the thing that will prevent the string from pulling right out. So what you do is you put your string in with the little bent end first, and then you put in your tuning peg with the string falling in that groove. And then you push it in pretty securely. You don't want to press down too much because this is the bridge of the guitar, but you want to make sure it's in there pretty good. Then you pull it to the headstock of the guitar. And I'm going to try to hold this up here so you can see it. So I always use as a measurement, because people always ask me, how far do I pull my string through? I always use as a measurement the next tuning peg. So this is the headstock of your guitar. These are our tuning pegs. And so you feed your string through, and I like to pull it all the way through. Sometimes you can wind your head just so it lines up straight. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it through rather straight, and I'm gonna measure to the next post. So this is the string we're changing. I'm gonna measure this one, and then I'm gonna bend that string up just to mark it. Then I'm gonna pull the string back to that little marked position. Then I'm gonna start winding. So let's find our trusty little string winder here. So you'll do the same thing, but you'll be winding the opposite way. So if I wound it clockwise to put it on, I'll be winding it counterclockwise to put it on. So I'm gonna lay the guitar down just for a minute. So I have it pulled through to the marked position, and I'm just gonna wind it a little bit. I'm gonna wind it by hand just because this thing isn't as sturdy. And then I always like to wind it, I call it like the flip underneath. So this end of your string, as you're winding, I'll try to show you a little bit better. As you're winding, I try to just pull the end of the string around one layer, and then I keep winding. So then it's kind of tricky. You gotta hold the top layer of the string and the end, and then you keep winding, keep winding. I've never positioned a guitar like this to fully show the angle. And then you just keep winding. This would go faster if I was using my string winder, but you can also use without a string winder. And basically what I did there when I just tucked in the end, it just makes sure that this end of the string is going to be wrapped. I'll give you a closer look here. Once this is done, is going to be wrapped in between two rotations on the tuning post itself. Okay, so you keep winding until you get to a little bit of tension on the string. I always like to check this bridge pin. You know, you can still press on it to make sure it isn't sliding out, especially the low E. Sometimes this guy can slide out a bit, so you just want to keep checking him to make sure he's kind of in. And then that has some pretty good tension on it. You can always like pre-stretch your strings a little bit just by pulling on them. Again, making sure that tuning peg stays in there. And I just get it kind of close. And then I tune it after with a tuner. So basically, you would take this process and repeat it 5 times on the 5 of the strings. But since we're trying to keep this video relatively short, and I could go on and on and on and on about teaching guitar lessons, the last thing, I wait till I change all of my 6 strings and then I cut them. But you basically take a wire cutter, or if you have one of these string winders, there's usually one on it, and you just cut your string as close as you can to the tuning post without, of course, cutting any other part of it. And so then you just throw that part in the garbage. Be careful again that it doesn't poke anybody's eye. And then to tune your guitar, I love using some of these clip-on tuners. There's so many different kinds of them. This one's made by D'Addario, but basically it'll have letters that come up. I don't know if it'll show when it's not plugged on. It'll have letters that come up, and it'll have lines on either side of the tuner to show you if it is in tune or not. So we'll put her on here. Let me see if I could show you a good screenshot view. This is very technical, camera angled right here. Okay, so can you see this tuner? So basically it has a letter E, and it has lines on the right of it and lines on the left of it. And so when there's lines on the left of it, it means the string is a little bit flat. And when there's lines on the right of it, it means the string is a little bit sharp. So when I'm tuning my strings, I always like to go a little bit flat and then come up to the note. So of course your strings on the guitar are E, A, D, G, B, E. I'll say that one more time. E, A, D, G, B, E. And once you change all of your strings, you're gonna wanna tune them up real good. And then after you play for a little bit, you're probably gonna need to tune them again just because new strings stretch nice and good. But yeah, then you can tune all of your strings. And when you see, again, lines on the left of the letter on your tuner, that just means it's a little bit flat. And when you see lines on the right, it means it's a little bit sharp. So you just gotta come down. And one other thing I will add on an acoustic guitar, I like to change my strings one string at a time. Why? Because it keeps the tension even on the neck as you're changing each one of your strings, which helps keep the intonation of your guitar intact. And also, then you can use the other strings with reference on which way to wind. The top 3 strings on an acoustic are wound opposite to the bottom 3 strings on an acoustic. So you can kind of use it as a gauge to be like, okay, I'm on this side of the guitar, so it needs to wind this way. So just change your strings one string at a time so you can use the other ones for reference. All right, guys. Well, I think I went way over my time for the video, but I just want to say thank you so much for following along. Students, keep doing the great work. Teachers, you are rock stars. Remember to take deep breaths. We're all getting through this one day at a time, and you have got this. If you would like to learn more about Unified Voices, go to cmafoundation.org. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you soon.